What is up, everybody? Welcome to our inaugural Market Watch video for Pokemon. This is going to be for the Lost Origin set. Today we're going to be looking at specifically the alt arts in Lost Origin, which have gone through a pretty crazy amount of fluctuation. In just the 2-3 days this set has been out, we've been seeing a lot of variation in the market prices as well as the sale prices happening for the Giratina alt art, the Aerodactyl V, and the Berserker, as well as Rotom, although there's much less variance with the Rotom and Berserker. So let's start off with, of course, the most interesting card, the Giratina V we have here. So the Giratina V is obviously a very cool card, a card that a lot of people would want for both collecting or for playing. It's actually a competitively viable card. So what's most interesting about this card is that before the set actually came out, right, when only pre-sellers could be listed here on TCG Player, the price you were seeing Giratina sell at was anywhere from around $170 to $200 maximum, right? And then the night just prior to the set releasing, pretty much all of those sales went through and there was no more Giratinas listed below $200. In fact, if memory serves, the night right before the set went live, there was only 2 listings left and they were for around $250 each. So then of course the set goes live, and as you see, some initial lower prices that were probably priced and then not changed prior to the set coming out and prior to everything below 200 getting sold out. So of course then people had their chance to snag a Giratina at below $200, myself included. As you see here, some people got some really killer deals. People getting near mint hollow foils for only $175, $180, $178, and so on. So these were very good prices to snag your Giratina at, because the prices did not stay here. So we see 170, 180, 190 for a good while, all the way until around Saturday. And then of course, towards the end of Saturday, approaching Sunday, pretty much all of the sub 200 prices now have disappeared. Pretty much anything you're going to see, even for lightly played hollow foils, you're going to see around a minimum of 225 these days. See around here, late Saturday, we break into the 200s, starts going up to 229, 230. And then of course we start making $250 sales around yesterday. What's crazy is that as of Monday, September 12th, the day we're filming this video, I'm seeing the market price at $233 and it is steadily rising, and the listed median price is $263. So it is very likely that we will see this card be sold at around $300. You already see $289 is a selling point that somebody was willing to pay at some point, but this card is very comfortably resting at around the $250 range, which honestly to me is not that surprising. Anybody who's been following the set knows that the alt art pull rate in this set is around something between 30 to 50% of Astral and Brilliant Stars. So hitting this card in particular is going to be very, very difficult. There's just not going to be very many of them. And of course, it doesn't help that Lost Origin itself is going to be a probably short printed set due to the fact that they already have to get Silver Tempest out the door in just 2 months since Lost Origin was delayed. And not only, of course, do they have to get Silver Tempest out the door early in November, but of course they got the holiday set coming up right after that. So it gives them very little room between that and the Charizard UPC and everything else coming out for them to make much Lost Origin. So a lot of what the Lost Origin is out right now is going to be most of the Lost Origin you're going to be seeing going forward. All we know is that there's probably not going to be time for a reprint anytime soon, so this Giratina is probably going to only get more expensive. Now, I'm not normally one for advocating day one or even week one's buying of singles. However, I think if you're going to do it for this Giratina V or this Aerodactyl we're about to look at, it wouldn't be the worst decision in the world. It's very possible, it goes down. It might become less competitively viable. You never know how the meta is going to shake out, and you never know what's going to happen in terms of reprints. However, it does seem like the price is only spiking. If we go back and look at this graph is a bit misleading because you can see it hasn't been updated for today. If you look at the most recent price on the graph, the market is 209, whereas the actual current market price is 233, which is higher than the highest point here. So you're going to see the graph spike to an even higher point than the one you're seeing here. So moving on from Giratina, we now have the Aerodactyl. The Aerodactyl is a pretty crazy example of prices varying in a card in the first few days. Aerodactyl pre-sale was around $80 to $90, and I think a lot of people were expecting to drop down to around $50 to $60. However, as it became more clear, I think that the alt arts were in very short supply for this set, and a set that's already going to be short printed. There was a lot of demand for this card, especially given that, it's pretty clearly a good looking card. If we look here at the sales history, we're seeing not much fluctuation overall. we are seeing the prices really just hover around the $100 to $80 to $90 range. As you can see here in pre-release is actually the lowest sales points, which you don't often see for most cards. We see $80 sales here pretty much across the board. Pretty much in the days leading up to the release of this set, we're seeing pretty much $80 across the board. Last couple days we see around $90 to $100. And that's about what we're seeing still, although I think you're going to see a general uptick, a general average going higher. We even hit 110, 125 coming up on a couple days ago. And then today we actually had a sale, a couple sales at the $200 mark and a little bit below that as well. So whether or not everyone's going to be listing this card at that price, who's to say? But what we do know is that there are people out there willing to pay $200 for this card, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's absurd, but I will say it's going to push up the price of this card most likely if sellers are aware of how much people are willing to pay for this card. And if we look here at the recent listings for this card on TCG Player, around the cheapest you're going to get is $170. At this point in time, people are listing it lower and lower, and it doesn't seem like people are biting quite right now. We are seeing people getting 110, 110.50 here. I think those prices probably got snagged up instantly. Who's to say if you're going to get one that cheap? But it does seem like people are willing to go a good deal lower than $200. So you're likely not going to have to pay that much for it, but you never know if these are all going to get snagged up. Like with all the alt arts, there's not many listings. So before you know it, these might all be gone. And then next listing, the only listing's at 200 plus. So if there's ever going to be a card to do a first week buy of, this would not be a terrible decision. All right, moving on to the next alt art, a significantly cheaper one. We have the Rotom V alt art. If we look here at the pre-sale days all the way to today, everything's pretty much hovering around the $50 to $40 to $60 mark. I don't think you're really going to see anything go above 55 if you look through here. A lot of 30s and 40s for the last couple days. And it looks like there might be a small uptick here at the top where we're nearing 50 to even mid 50s for this card. If you look near the top of this list, you're going to see an uptick to around $50 to $55 at the high end for this card. And as of the time of filming this video, as you can see here, there's only 6 listings, and the cheapest one is $80. Now, this one might not be as expensive as the Gyra or the Aerodactyl, but it is still an alt art in Lost Origin, which is to say it's rare. And so if this card ends up being any good, or it's just a card a lot of people want, it's going to be hard to get it at a good price just because of the sheer bargaining power I think all of the people who hold this card have, due to the fact that it's just extremely rare. Of course, it's a good looking card like most alt arts. It's got good art on it, so as far as pimping out your deck goes, it's perfectly valid for that. So a lot of reason to buy this card, not much to not buy this card. Now, if you're going to pay $80 plus, I think it's very possible, hype dies down in general. As same could be said for the Aerodactyl or the Gyaratina. But I think overall, this one, I would personally wait to buy it. I mean, unless you can get around $40 to $50, that might be worth it. But definitely do not pay the $80 that people are going to be probably juicing it for right now. I don't think there's going to be so much demand for this card that anyone's going to be biting consistently at $80 to $90. But you never know. The listed median price is very high. It's possible nobody's willing to go lower than $80 when selling this, and then somebody breaks and buys it at that much, and before you know it, the dam breaks, everyone's buying at that price. If it can happen with Machamp V, it can happen with any card. Alright, and last but certainly least, we have the Berserker V alt art. Now, I actually feel like this card's a bit underrated. I'm not a fan of Berserker, but I do think this card's a good-looking card. I love the art style of it. That simple anime aesthetic, I think, works really well on a card. And I think this card's just really cute and clean. As far as competitive viability for this card goes, I really have no idea. However, what I do know is that this card is following a different pattern than the Aerodactyl and the Gyaratina did, which is most of the cheapest sales happening day 0 or day 1. If you look here, the pre-sales are pretty much the highest sale prices you're going to see, right? $37, $38 for, around 10 orders here. And then it very quickly dips down, even before the release date, to around $20 to $30. Some people are getting pretty good steals here for good price on these. But most of these are mid-20s to mid-30s, even low 30s, honestly. And it really doesn't seem to be changing too much, although there is a bit of a trend in the last day where it does seem to be steadying out around high 20s to low 30s. So now the ball is in the court of the consumers here, of course. None of the listings are really below $31. Everything here is going to cost you $30 or more. Some of these are going even higher. And who knows if there's going to be an opportunity for you to grab these at any point that's cheaper. I mean, it might only become more expensive. That does seem to be the trend of the 3 other alt arts. There's no reason to think that this one won't follow the same suit. It's probably not bold to say that this card, this Berserker, is the least popular Mon among the 4 alt arts. However, there are people that still want it, and there are people who like to just collect all of the alt arts. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of people who are trying to buy this card, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's people out there who are willing to pay $40 to $50 for it, especially as time goes on and people are done ripping and they really only want to buy singles. People will fork over the money for this card, and I personally think that there are plenty of people out there who would be willing to pay more than $35 for this card. Now, of course, I could be wrong. It might turn out nobody cares about this card and it goes down to 25 bucks. I don't know. But I think it's just becoming very clear to people how rare some of these cards are, as well as their viability is becoming more and more assured, especially for the Giratina. It's just looking, I think, to most people that the most attractive option is to just buy these cards. And when that many people are trying to buy this few of cards, it's definitely going to raise the price up. So if you think you're going to be in the market for any of these alt arts, I think you should definitely do some research, see if you can find some good buys on some subreddits, maybe eBay, even here. These lists are being constantly updated, and some people are willing to undercut the rest of the sellers, so you never know if you can get a good deal. But I think if you do find a cheap price, you should really take it, because it will not last long. I think it's pretty crazy to see this much of a price increase as more people are ripping it, but I mean, a lot of these Giratiners are being bought as fast as they're being sold, so who knows where we're going to end up with these. I don't know if many people are going to be willing to undercut themselves when pulling this card. It's such a rare hit and it's such a gorgeous card that I think most people are going to list it at 200 minimum. I don't think you're going to get many people to go that low, at least for the next week or two. So if you're looking to buy this card, it might only go up. I would do some research on it. I'm not going to tell you what you should do when you're spending this much money, but if you really do care about getting this card, I would just say watch the trends, because you're going to see the graph here go up considerably within the next day or two. And when it becomes that much more visually apparent to people how much the prices and the market prices are going up on these, well, I think a lot less people are going to be willing to undercut themselves to the degree that you're seeing occasionally here. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the new set, what you think about what we've talked about here today, what cards you're chasing, and which cards you've pulled the trigger on already. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. But for now, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about, and I'll see you on the next one. I love you all. Bye.